I'm going to talk a little bit about religion, but I'm going to take a novel approach in saying that you can actually follow religions in a completely secular way. And in fact, you can interpret most religions also, like Christianity even, in completely secular terms. What brought me to this realization was talking with someone. I remember them showing me, I think Corinthians, like the section about love. Okay, and I loved this section so much, but I was averse. I didn't want to take all of Christianity because I thought, look at this chapter here about women should cover their heads or all this metaphysical baggage, all this bullshit, right? But then I realized that I can actually come to appreciate more and more of every religion, even Christianity, with um, almost like little concepts, pieces of understanding, like piecing together a fuller picture. So I'm going to share some of the things that contributed to letting me appreciate religion in secular terms, okay? And even handle going to church and reaping the benefits without getting bogged down in all the spiritual nonsense. Okay? So let me share some of these things. Number one, every everything can be seen as a tool in your toolbox, okay? You never have to espouse or accept a complete ideology or a complete worldview and abandon your rationality, your common sense, your higher level thinking, okay? Just see every idea that comes your way as just another tool in the toolbox. If you can see ideas in this way, then you won't fight. Okay, then you can appreciate that every religion has something good to offer. That's the first insight. Treat every idea as a tool in your toolbox. It's going to help you live better, and there's going to be pragmatic value, okay, in when you live your life. Number two, different narratives can fit the same set of facts, okay? So we take let's just say a man went to the store and bought a carton of milk, okay? You can find so many narratives to fit the same set of facts. You can say the man's name was Nick. You can say the man's name was John, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. Like, and this is borderline blasphemous, so I won't take this further. I'm just saying the names can change. Maybe we take this metaphorically and we treat the jug of milk as like nourishment. Maybe it's like manna, right? And he took the milk and he fed like all of Canaan with whatever. Like, all I'm saying is like different narratives can fit the same set of facts, and this is what religion. That's what I've realized about religion is that all religions espouse the same spiritual principles. They all tout the value of things like humility, surrender, doing good, helping people, altruism. Okay, the thing is they use different metaphysical canopies. I'm getting this term from David R. Loy's book, The Social Awakening. He says every religion has two parts: a vehicle for self-transformation, which you can use to better yourself, and the second is a context they provide, the metaphysical context, where maybe the world was created in this many days, Jesus was born to Mary, and these figures change, and across the religions you can see the same archetypes repeating themselves. So it seems to me that I can kind of ignore the metaphysical baggage for now and take the good things, okay, and see the metaphysical baggage as a narrative that envelopes the core facts that remain same from religion to religion, okay? And one way I can illustrate this is, let's hope this marker is working. Let's take these 3 points here, okay? One way, I don't know if you can even see the points, one way to connect these dots is to draw a straight line through them, right? Let's just say that's science. That's the way science would interpret the three happenings, three events, okay? Now we take another narrative that maybe goes out here, okay? And this narrative treats every event as if it has agency, okay? So instead of saying this particle hit that particle, and that's the cause and effect chain, we can say this particle had a name. It was named Tom. Tom hit Jack. Jack affected Patty, and then this was the outcome. All we did there was we attributed agency to the particles, okay? Why is this important? Because we can see that a deterministic worldview in which we think the cause and effect chain cannot be broken, that everything is determined, or you can take the fatalistic approach as if God was omniscient and he saw everything in advance, or you can take a libertarian approach where you think, I had free will all along. Yes, the differences do come up, like they do have pragmatic differences in certain contexts, but in other contexts, they really don't have a difference. They don't impact your life. Like, I'm still gonna go home and take a shower, go to bed, whether I'm living in a deterministic universe, a libertarian one, or a compatibilist one, okay? So, different narratives. You can actually use these narratives to trigger your own behavior. For example, just imagining a particle hitting another one is not going to galvanize me. It's not going to call me to action, okay? But let's say I give each a name, give each particle an agency, and I give them a purpose, as if this particle is meant to go to that particle, and this whole picture is a good thing. Like, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Now, it calls up certain creative energies in me. It's like, shit, this is a good thing, right? Like, I attach valence, we call it valence, okay? Good things motivate us to action. Like, I could take this whole story here of the particle hitting the next one and say this is bad, or I can say this is good. This has tremendous value because I don't think anyone can really live in a universe they think is bad, that is conspiring against them. But we use artwork, let's say, that's one way. We use artwork to beautify the world and kind of sugarcoat it with values that are amenable to us and conducive to our living. So we'll say, maybe that rock fell on someone, but you know what? It was all destiny. Or or maybe this is part of God's bigger picture. It will turn out to be good for us. Now, it might be bullshit in one way, and yet did it change anything in the facts? I would argue no. And in fact, it will actually help your future behavior. Because you could think like, shit, this rock fell on my friend's head, now I'm just going to go into that bereavement phase. I'm just going to get depressed, and it's going to affect all my actions going forward. Or I can see it as a really good thing. It hit my friend in the head, but maybe God has a bigger plan, and I'm just going to keep trucking on, go along with my life, and be receptive to new opportunities that come my way. Which one galvanized me to better behavior? I'm going to say it's the second narrative, even though the facts remain the same. Okay? Now, this takes a very liberal mind, because it's almost like you're deluding yourself. But as long as you keep it in the back of your mind that you're just using different narratives to elicit different actions within yourself, keeping in mind that different narratives can fit the same set of facts, and that those narratives don't actually exist in reality. They're just a tool that you're using. When you can accept these paradoxes, these mental hacks, you can actually get the effects of religion, the good effects of religion, while knowing all along, like, not to get too caught up in the narrative. Okay, that's number two. The second point, that different narratives can fit the same set of facts. This is going to be a longer video, I guess. Let me just see how many of these I can come up with. The third point that really struck me was paradoxical intention. I encountered this idea in Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. He pointed out that if you're trying to go to sleep, the more you think about sleep, the less likely it is that you'll be able to get to sleep, right? You almost get to sleep by not thinking about it. And I started applying this thing to many religious ideas, and I realized that paradox is part and parcel of religion in so many ways, and it's just such a beautiful idea. So let me give some examples. Number one, you are saved through God's grace and not just through your own efforts. It takes both, your own efforts and God's grace. The beauty in this is that by keeping that element alive of God's grace, you won't frustrate your own efforts to do good or to better yourself or whatever. Because if it was fully in your own control, that's a pretty bleak concept, a pretty bleak prospect. Because how far do you have to go to micromanage your life to get to that perfect picture? Okay? And this kind of life run on self-will is often what leads to alcoholism or drugs or whatever, because it's almost like if you're not going to hit perfection anyways, just fuck up your life, right? Like, it's like, this is the kind of thinking that goes into binge eating or shit like that. It's like, okay, you know what, I fucked up anyways, let's just fuck it up completely. This is a thinking distortion humans fall into often. But by keeping that extra kind of force alive, God's grace, it's like, I'm just going to do my best, come what may, and let God fill in the rest. Let God be the judge. I'm just going to do my best. This avoids perfectionism and stuff. Another example of paradoxical intention is the idea of heaven. Okay? All our attempts in the past to create utopias on earth have failed. In fact, they create the worst hells on earth, because you're kind of enforcing your own vision of what the perfect world looks like on other people who have their own values, their own ideas of what a good life would look like, and you're robbing them of their agency, their autonomy, stuff like that. Okay? The beauty about abstracting utopia to an afterlife is, again, you kind of get there indirectly with what word did Adam Smith use? Was it the invisible hand, or is it the invisible hand? I'm not sure, but it's like the idea that if everyone swept the sidewalk in front of their own door, the whole world would be clean. Okay, so you don't make it your end to clean the world. You only make it your end to clean as far from your door as you can, like as much of the area around your house as you can. And if everyone does this, you'll advantageously almost arrive at the utopia that you're looking for. You just abstracted it to an afterlife, to another domain. You're not even trying to get there. You're just living up to the ideals, the principles that could get you there. Okay, so that idea of abstraction, this is a paradoxical intention. That's kind of beautiful to me. Okay, and the third and last paradoxical intention that I can think of right now is what you put at the center of your life. And I mentioned this in the past video, so I won't belabor this point. But whatever you put at the center of your life, you risk fucking it up, because let's say you put children at the center of your life, you might be a tyrannical parent. You put money at the center of your life, you might be egotistical and greedy and fuck up your relationships. But having a plug-in, it's almost like a god that you just put in the hole, like the hole inside yourself. Let's say it allows you to focus better on the things that you actually do want. Okay, but you kind of get to those things through a roundabout route. By it's like here's another concept I encountered: Christian hedonism. It's like you're having fun, but you're having fun in the worship of God, and this helps you to avoid the bad pleasures, like the pleasures that you do have. If they're in the name of God, they'll at least be grounded to something good, right? In the same way, the money, raising your children, your spouse, if you approach all of those from like God, okay, from the spiritual perspective, it actually ground you to something good, and you won't be tyrannical in any of these approaches, whatever. So that's paradoxical intention. Anything else? Okay, the fourth thing is the ritualistic aspect. Okay, so I've gone to therapy, I've seen therapists before, and it just was not working for me, because they all seem like band-aid solutions. Whether you take CBT, DBT, exposure therapy, yes, all of those work. The problem is they're not contextualized. They don't have some overarching kind of life theme, like this idea of life theme I got from the book Flow. I can't even pronounce this guy's name. It's like a German guy, Mikhail something. But you need that narrative, that life theme that ties together your individual solutions, right? So it's not just like, I'm going to change my thinking. It's like, why am I going to change my thinking? And that why is provided by the narrative that you accept for your life. So there's actually a branch of therapy that says it's not the events that happen to you that are important, it's the story you tell yourself about the events that happen. So the same person, or let's just say two different people, could be affected differently by the same event, for example. So let's just say some guy loses their home at the age of like 5 or something because their parents did something stupid, and now they're embroiled in legal battles, their parents lost all their money. The same kid could be like, fuck this, life sucks, take the drugs, okay? Or they could grow up and take to law and think, I'm going to become a lawyer, so I'm going to represent all other people who have fallen into the same shithole. I'm going to represent them and make life better for them, okay? So it's just a story that took the same person, made one a lawyer, made the other one a drug addict, okay? That story is so important. And that story also is what motivates you to action. So this is what I like about religion, is that one, it gives you the story, and number two, I think that story needs to be become a part of you through ritual, okay? Whether it's people coming together and singing in praise, people coming together, rituals like carving out a sacred space versus a profane space. Like let's say it's a prayer mat or a prayer rug that you spread out on one of the rooms in your house, and you go there every day and you remind yourself. So rituals kind of anchor you to your overall story. They keep you from just falling into the trap of the superficialities of life. They anchor you to good values. The story, the rituals keep you tethered to the story, okay? Rather than just trying to fix your life one band-aid solution at a time. Number 5. I think I'm at number 5 now. The beauty of proselytizing. I love this. So people often lament the state of democracy. They think, people are so stupid, they're irrational, they're taking to conspiracy theories and shit. What is Like, what's wrong with us? How can democracy work if people aren't even thinking straight and there are flat earthers, they're denying global warming and stuff? And I think it's the failure of the academics. Academics need to proselytize in the same way that you see these Mormons or these Christians proselytizing, or even Muslims. Like, all religions have it a big part of their faith to go and spread the good message, the good word. And these stupid academics think they can just sit in their offices with their PhDs and maybe just teach an elite crowd of students who can afford it, and they never bother to educate the populace, the layperson. Because these are the people who actually are going to make the big decisions, like these are the voters, okay? All it would really take is you take a person with a PhD and you say, you know what, just lead one group a week, okay? Just call people together, and you're going to lead a discussion group, and just for regular people, don't worry about getting paid, you have your job, and just do this, right? Like, this is your good service. And this idea of doing things for free, people are so against it, but religion makes people do good shit for free. Like, there's no doubt about it. The Salvation Army, anywhere you go in the world, the Gurdwara will give you free food, and maybe even a free place to sleep if you're homeless. Like, they do so much good. I think of crises like, let's say, Rwanda, the Rwandan crisis. The first people on the battle lines who are helping people are the mosques, the churches. They'll take people in, even at risk to themselves, and help these people. Whereas a force like the UN or whatever is scared to go in there and do good, right? So we need a secular equivalent of churches or mosques or whatever, or at least treat our secular values with the same kind of sacred respect as the religions treat their values, okay? So like education, freedom of speech, whatever, even just the individual's journey through life and sharing their message or whatever. There are so many little pillar ideas like these that we could treat as sacred and protect them, and this will encourage us to action, the kind of selfless action that we see from religious people. Now, I'm not saying that religion is not responsible for bad shit too. Like, Mother Teresa is one example. I was reading something about how she thought even as the people were suffering, it was good for them because it got them closer to God. So, yes, religion can fuck with your mind sometimes like this, but at least it makes you do the selfless action because you hold something to be sacred. The idea of the sacred encourages you to action in a way that nothing else can, right? A secular value like knowledge will not make you abandon almost your personal security and shit just to spread that knowledge halfway across the world. But Christians do this all the time. They go on these missions. They'll spend a year abroad, and for free they will teach people. When have you ever seen a PhD go around and teach people for free? No, they just sit in their offices, right? And tied to this proselytizing is the necessity of being charismatic, okay? So I see these people proselytizing on the streets. They might be students. Sometimes they're exchange students. They come here, and they're spreading the Mormon message or something. And these are people who have done the work to make themselves charismatic, confident, being able to speak with the public. But then you get these academics who are even teaching at the university level. They're stuttering. They're shitty teachers. They have almost no respect for their profession. They don't even take the effort to develop their ability to speak and spread the message. They don't realize that a big part of spreading your message, big part of conveying the content, is the packaging of the content, right? You have to, that's your responsibility, to cultivate that ability in yourself. So I actually hold it against the academics for the failures of the public, for their ignorance, okay? They need to treat their mission, they've gained the knowledge, they're entitled, they've gone through the school system, they've benefited. The least they can do now is take little measures here and there, the way religious people do, to share that knowledge now for free, okay? This idea of free, sharing something for free, will not come naturally to most of us, but just think that most religions tithe, okay? The Muslims have to give away 10% of their income annually. The Christians also donate. It's a big part of religion to donate, but we in the secular world, we don't hold tithing or donating, we don't hold it to the same kind of regard, okay? So I think I've given you 5 things here we can learn from religion, and even if we don't take religion completely, we can at least take these good ideas and apply them to like education, to donating, stuff like this. So yeah, thanks guys.